I never imagined that my life would fall apart in this way. In retrospect, though, the symptoms were always present. I'm Jessica, and I'm 34 years old. Adam, my 35-year-old spouse, and I have been wed for almost 12 years. Maddie, age 8, and Lucas, age 5, are our two lovely children. We appeared to be the ideal family from the outside, secure, devoted, and prosperous. However, beneath that glossy exterior lurked a creeping rot that I was unaware of until it was too late. Adam began performing around 6 months ago, and that's when it all began. Away. He grew aloof and preoccupied. More often than not, he would arrive home from work late, dismissing it with a pretext of meetings or last-minute work. God, I really wanted to believe him, but I had a gut feeling that something wasn't quite right. The worst thing was that he would give me that weary, irritated face and say, "You're overthinking it, Jess." I'm just stressed. When I questioned him, I made an effort to let things go. I persuaded myself that I was dreaming, and that it was only normal marital wear and tear. The late nights, the cryptic texts, and the new protectiveness over his phone, however, continued piling up. He even began switching up his cologne, which I knew he had previously detested. One night when he was working late once more was the last straw. Maddie was thrilled to have both of us attend her school recital. Adam didn't answer when I called him after sending him 2 texts. In the hopes that he might enter, Maddie continued to gaze toward the door. "Why didn't Daddy come?" she inquired after the show. I told her he was busy at work and tried my best to smile. However, I was unable to contain myself that evening. I sat on the couch and waited for Adam to get home after putting the kids to bed. He entered at midnight, smelling of perfume and liquor that wasn't mine. My voice was tight as I questioned, "Where were you?" With a casual work, he tossed his jacket onto the chair. "You missed Maddie's recital." He rubbed his face and moaned. "Jess, I'm sorry. I lost track of time." With my heart racing, I got to my feet. "Lost track of time? You smell like a bar and someone else's perfume." Irritation flashed in his eyes. "You're imagining things again." The words "stop gaslighting me" burst out of my mouth. "Are you cheating on me?" He paused at that point. A pause of half a second. His face turned white. That's when I realized. "You are, aren't you?" He didn't dispute it. He simply groaned and ran his fingers through his hair. "It's not what you think. Don't you dare," I interrupted, my entire body shaking. "How long?" With his face buried in his hands, he took a seat on the couch. "A few months." I fell to the ground when my knees gave out. My eyes were burning from tears, but I didn't want to cry in front of him. "Who is she?" "It doesn't matter," I yelled. "The hell it doesn't! Who is she?" Adam's mouth clenched. "It's Natalie." My heart essentially stopped. His college ex, Natalie, was the one who escaped. He claimed to be over her, but I constantly felt like I was in competition with him. "You've got to be kidding me." He cast his gaze downward. "I didn't mean for it to happen." "You didn't mean for it to happen?" I said with a sour laugh. "So what? You just accidentally fell into bed with her? It's complicated." "No, it's not," I retorted. "You lied to me. You betrayed me and our kids." His expression stiffened. "Jess, I'm not happy. I haven't been for a long time. The cheating wasn't as painful as that. You're not happy?" I said in a whisper. "And instead of talking to me about it, you turned to her?" Adam stroked the back of his neck and got to his feet. "Maybe we've been holding on to something that isn't working anymore." My chest ached as I gazed at him. "So, what are you saying? You want a divorce?" He refused to even give me a glance, saying, I don't know." I crossed my arms and got to my feet. "You don't get to not know. You have a wife and 2 kids who love you. You owe me an answer." He let out a sigh. "I think I need some time to figure things out." I wanted to slap him, hurl something, or shout, but I refrained. As he entered the bedroom and closed the door, I stood there feeling empty. That night, I slept on the couch. Adam left before I woke up the following morning. Without expressing regret, he wrote on the counter that he would be staying with a friend for a few days. No justification. My hands were shaking as I sat at the kitchen table drinking coffee. Downstairs, Maddie rubbed her eyes. "Where's Daddy?" I gave a stiff smile. "He had to go away for work." She scowled. He's always working. My heart broke. I know, baby. I know. How I was going to explain any of this to the children was a mystery to me. How I was meant to keep it together was a mystery to me. One thing was certain, though. This was far from over. Not even close. Adam didn't get back to me for 3 days. 3. Oh no. Days. I went through the motions like a machine throughout those days. Get up, prepare for work, pick up the children, prepare dinner, put them to bed, and so on. My head was functioning automatically, and my heart was empty. I continued to lie through my teeth when Maddie asked when Daddy would be returning home. Soon, I would feign a smile. He's just really busy with work. I was unable to comprehend what in the world was going on. Adam betrayed me, alongside Natalie. He declared that the woman who had seemingly been lurking in the background of our marriage the entire time was just a part of the past. I felt foolish. Finally, on the 4th day, Adam texted me. We need to talk. Can I come over? My hand was shaking as I gazed at my phone. I detested how my chest constricted at the mere sight of his name. I typed back after a brief pause. Fine. After the kids go to bed. My heart ached as Maddie asked if Daddy would be home tomorrow, and I kissed Maddie and Lucas goodnight that evening. I was unable to respond to her. The doorbell rang at 9:30. Adam was standing there, looking a little gruff, when I opened the door. His hair was untidy, his shirt was crumpled, and there were heavy circles under his eyes. I longed to reach out and straighten his collar for a dumb, fleeting moment. But then I realized that I no longer have him to fix. I moved out of the way. Come in. Adam rubbed his hands together while seated on the couch. Jess, I'm so sorry. I stood in front of him with my arms folded. I asked in a stern voice, You're sorry? For what, exactly? For hurting you. For screwing everything up. My pulse thumped in my chest as I said, Yeah, you did screw everything up. So what now? Are you here to tell me it's over? He let out a sigh. I don't know, I said. You don't know? You think you get to come in here, wreck my life, and just not know? With red-rimmed eyes, he said, I'm confused, Jess. I didn't expect this to happen with Natalie. It just happened. I tightened my jaw. Stop saying that. People don't just fall into affairs. You made a choice, Adam. You made a choice every time you texted her, every time you met up with her, every time you lied to my face. He looked down at the floor and swallowed hard. You're right. My hands were shaking as I said, Damn right, I'm right. Do you love her? Adam's head jerked upward. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Answer me, I yelled. The second he paused was simply too long. I don't know. I felt sick to my stomach. Wow. I apologize, he replied quietly. I gave a sour laugh. You're sorry. Great. That fixes everything. Adam's eyes glowed with annoyance. I didn't plan for this, Jess. Our marriage has been falling apart for a while. You know that. You dare not put this on me, I retorted. I've been the one holding this family together while you've been off screwing around. Adam's face darkened as he arose. You think this is all on me? You've been cold for years, Jess. Focused on the kids, the house, everything except us. My jaw dropped. Are you serious right now? He raised his hands. I'm not saying it excuses what I did. But I'm not the only one who let things fall apart. With tears in my eyes, I moved closer to him and asked, Oh, so now it's my fault that you cheated? I gave you everything. I raised your kids. I supported your career. I put up with your family's bullshit, and this is how you repay me? Adam's remorse twisted his face. Jess, I'm not saying that. I don't know how we got here. I gave my face a vigorous wipe. Maybe because you didn't talk to me? Maybe because instead of fixing things, you ran to Natalie? His gaze grew gloomy. It's not that simple. My chest heaved as I exclaimed, It is that simple! You could have talked to me. We could have fixed this together. But you chose her. Adam's expression fell apart. I don't know how to fix this. My chest twisted with anger and anguish as I gazed at him. Maybe you can't. Adam wiped his face with his hands. Do you want me to leave? Startled, I blinked. You seriously think you can just leave and that's it? His eyes were filled with helplessness as he gazed up at me. What do you want me to do, Jess? I want you to fight. I shattered my voice. I want you to tell me that you made a mistake, that you love me, that you'll fix this. I want you to not just sit there like a coward and say, I don't know. Adam's eyes began to well up with tears. I, I don't know if I can. I felt my heart break again. Then leave. His eyes were hazy as he gazed at me and then got up. Jess, get out, I said icily. He paused as if he was anticipating my intervention. I didn't. Adam started for the door, then stopped. I'm sorry. The lump in my throat was swallowed. Yeah, me too. He walked out after opening the door. I collapsed to the floor and sobbed into my hands as soon as the door clicked shut. My entire body trembled. Each breath was painful. I eventually made myself stand up. After wiping my face, I went to see how the children were doing. Maddie was sleeping with her teddy animal in her hand. Lucas was quietly snoring. Tears were still streaming down my face as I leaned against the doorframe. I had no idea how I would handle tomorrow. I was unsure of how to break the news to the children. However, I was aware that this was far from finished. Not even close. I felt like I had been struck by a vehicle when I woke up the following morning. My eyes were puffy from crying all night, and my head was hammering. However, life goes on. Even if your heart is broken, don't you think? The children still required transportation to school, breakfast, and packed lunches. So I stood up, forced myself to smile, and went through the motions. Maddie took notice. Despite being only 6, she is intelligent. Too sharp. She sat at the kitchen table, observing me intently while swinging her small legs beneath the chair. Mommy, are you sad? I nearly broke down there. I knelt down and brushed her hair back. No, baby. Mommy's just tired. Did Daddy come home? I went cold. With such hope, Maddie's large blue eyes gazed into my. Once more, my heart broke open. I made an effort to grin. Not yet, sweetheart. Her lips quivered as she scowled. Is he mad at us? With my throat burning, I gave her a tight hug. No, baby. Daddy loves you. He's just figuring some things out. For the time being, that seemed to satisfy her. I spent some time sitting in the car after dropping the kids off at school. Just being. It buzzed on my phone. I was half expecting it to be Adam when I picked it up, but it was actually my sister, Sarah. Coffee? I replied back, sighing. Sure. I was seated across from Sarah in the little cafe, close to her workplace, 15 minutes later. She winced after glancing at me. Damn, Jess, you look like you've been through it. I gave a snort. Because I have. Sarah bent over. So, what happened? Even though I wasn't going to sip my coffee, I groaned and stirred it. Adam cheated on me. Sarah's eyes got bigger. Wait, what? When? With who? My heart pounded painfully as I gazed at the table. Natalie. Her jaw dropped. Natalie? As in Natalie? I gave a nod. Sarah's expression contorted in revulsion. That bitch. I never liked her. Yeah, well, looks like Adam does. Sarah's fists gripped her coffee cup so tightly that I thought it could break as she shook her head. Oh my God. Jess, I'm so sorry. I gritted my teeth. Yeah, well, it is what it is. Sarah's voice grew sharper as she asked, Are you seriously saying that right now? This isn't it, is what it is, Jess. Your husband, the father of your children, cheated on you with his ex. I know, I said, my voice breaking. Do you think I don't know that? Sarah's expression softened. Jess. The first rubbed my hands down my cheeks and groaned. He says he doesn't know what he wants. Jess. Sarah's eyes grew gloomy. You're not seriously waiting around for him to figure it out, right? I took a deep breath. I don't know. I mean, I've built my whole life with him. He's the father of my kids. If there's a chance we could fix this, Sarah said sharply. Stop. Jess. Listen to me. He cheated. He broke your trust. That's not a small thing. My eyes were burning with tears. I know. So, why are you giving him the option to keep you waiting? Because I love him. Spilled out before I could halt what they were saying. I felt my chest heave. God, I'm so pathetic. After everything, I still love him. Sarah gripped my hand as she reached across the table. Jess, loving him doesn't mean you have to let him destroy you. My breath caught. What if I can't let him go? Sarah's gaze grew softer. Then you need to figure out if you're holding on because you love him, or because you're scared to be without him. Her remarks were like a blow to my head. I was shaking and on the verge of crying as I sat there. My phone buzzed all of a sudden. Adam texted, "Can we talk tonight?" My heart simultaneously leaped and fell. I held the phone up to Sarah. She scowled. "Jess, be careful." Even though I wasn't sure how to exercise caution around Adam, I nodded. Adam arrived at the house shortly after the children had gone to bed that evening. He appeared more composed, calmer. One of his finer button-downs was on him. He had his hair groomed nicely. He took a seat on the sofa. I remained upright. Adam remarked, "I've been thinking a lot." "Good for you," was my blunt response. He clenched his jaw. "Jess, please." I folded my arms. "What do you want, Adam?" His gaze grew gloomy. "I don't know how to fix this." "Then why are you here?" His voice trembled as he said, "Because I miss you." A stinging pressure went through my heart. "You don't get to say that to me after what you did." Adam gave his face a rub. "I know, but Jess, I don't want to lose you," I retorted. Funny way of showing it. His words, I was an idiot. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I got caught up in whatever it was with Natalie. It was easy. It didn't have the pressure of real life, but it didn't mean anything. My throat ached. "Did you sleep with her?" Adam's face went white. My voice was piercing. "Tell me the truth." Guilt filled his eyes. Once, my knees nearly buckled. My hand went to my mouth and I said, "Jesus Christ." "How could you?" Adam's eyes were wide and anxious as he said, "I'm sorry. Jess, I'm sorry. It was a mistake." With a sad laugh, I asked, "A mistake? You slept with her. That's not a mistake. That's a choice." Adam got up and walked over to me. "Jess, please don't touch me." I retreated, trembling all over. Adam's face fell flat. "I love you." My voice broke. "No, you don't get to say that. If you loved me, you wouldn't have touched her." His eyes filled with tears. "I swear it didn't mean anything. Then why did you do it?" I don't know." I heaved my chest. "God, Adam, you don't know what you want. You don't know why you did it. You don't know how to fix it. You don't know anything." Adam's mouth moved back and forth. I gasped when I looked at him. "If you can't even tell me why you did it, how the hell am I supposed to forgive you?" Adam's face contorted in pain. "Jess, I think you should leave." His jaw dropped, closed. Devastation filled his eyes. He did, however, nod. Slowly. "I apologize," he muttered. Then he went away. My heart was pounding in my chest as I stood there for a while. My hands are trembling. He left, but I wasn't sure if it made me more damaged or if I was beginning to see that I didn't want him back. After Adam went, the home was too quiet. My heart continued to pound in my chest while I remained there for a while, listening to the emptiness. Upstairs, the children were sleeping. It was as if the entire house was holding its breath. Curling my knees to my chest, I took a seat on the couch. I couldn't stop picturing his face, the sorrow in his eyes, the way his voice broke when he apologized. However, apologizing didn't change what he had done. The picture of him caressing Natalie was not erased by his apology. Hours passed while I sat there, watching the shadows spread across the walls, my thoughts alternating between despair, rage, and disbelief, as well as that awful, pitiful part of me that still desired him. That night, I didn't get much sleep. My body ached from the tension as I tossed and turned. I gave up and walked downstairs at around 3 in the morning. As I sipped lukewarm coffee at the kitchen table, I wondered how in the world my life had gone apart so quickly. Maddie strolled in and rubbed her drowsy eyes while I was still seated. Then she yawned. "Mommy?" I made a fake smile and said, "Hey, sweetheart, what are you doing up?" "I had a bad dream." I took her in my arms and ran my fingers through her hair. "It's okay, baby. It was just a dream." Small and soft, she cuddled up against me. "When's Daddy coming home?" I gasped. "I don't know, honey." Maddie's eyes filled with tears. "Did I do something wrong?" My heart broke into pieces. "No, baby. None of this is your fault." Her tiny arms clenched around my neck as she sniffed. "Then why is he gone?" I was unable to respond to that. I felt like a ghost when I left the kids off at school the following morning. I was worn out, emotionally spent, and barely able to function. Sarah then gave a call. "Hey, how are you holding up?" I let out a sigh. "Barely. Can you meet me for lunch?" "I don't know, Jess. Her tone grew piercing. You need to get out of the house. I rubbed my eyes. Fine. We got together at a small downtown sushi joint. With a glass of white wine in her hand, Sarah was already present. As I slipped inside the booth, she inspected me. Jesus, you look like hell. Thanks. She let out a sigh. Jess, you can't keep doing this. Doing what? Waiting around for Adam to decide whether he wants you or not. I'm not. Sarah's eyes flared. You are. He cheated on you. He broke your heart. And now you're sitting there, waiting for him to come back and make it all better. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. Since she was correct. I said, my voice breaking. I don't know how to let him go. Sarah bent over. Then figure it out. Because if you don't, you're going to destroy yourself. My eyes were burning with tears. Her voice grew softer as she said, Jess, listen to me. You don't have to forgive him. You don't owe him that. But you owe it to yourself to stop letting him have so much power over you. I took a deep breath. What if I can't? Then you need to figure out why. My heart pounded painfully as I sat there and stared at the table. My phone then buzzed, as like the universe was trying to punish me. Adam was the one. Can we talk? Sarah squinted her eyes. Don't, I have to. Sarah gave a headshake. Jess, he's going to keep doing this. Stringing you along, making you feel like you're the one who has to fix it. I choked as I spoke. I need answers. Sarah's eyes grew softer. Then get your answers. But don't let him manipulate you. Adam arrived at the residence that evening. His clothing were rumpled and he had heavy circles under his eyes, making him look like hell. He was uncertain as he stood on the porch. I folded my arms. What do you want? Can I come in? I simply turned and entered the living room without responding. I heard the door behind him close after a moment. Adam took a seat on the sofa. I remained upright. He massaged his face with his hands. Jess, I'm so sorry. I know. He raised his head. He had haunting eyes. I don't know why I did it. That's not good enough. Adam's mouth clenched. I was lost. I sneered. Lost? His voice broke as he said, I was drowning, Jess. Everything with work, the kids, the stress. Natalie was easy. She was simple. She didn't come with expectations. I went cold. Expectations? Guilt clouded Adam's gaze. You're so strong, Jess. So capable. You don't need me. A sharp squeezing went through my chest. You think I don't need you? Adam had raw eyes. I felt like I was just a paycheck to you. Like you didn't need me emotionally. Stunned, I gazed at him. You think I didn't need you? He ran his hand over the back of his neck and said, I know it sounds stupid, but Natalie made me feel important. Like I mattered. My jaw dropped. So you cheated on me because I made you feel too secure? Adam's face fell flat. Jess, I let out a chilly, acrid laugh. Oh my God. That's it, isn't it? I loved you too much. I didn't make you feel fragile enough. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? I said, becoming more abrasive. Adam opened his mouth, but nothing came out. My heart thumping, I gazed at him. You don't get to make this my fault. I'm not, you are. I raised my voice. You're blaming me for making you feel safe. And instead of talking to me about it, you ran to Natalie. Do you have any idea how pathetic that is? Adam's face turned red with embarrassment. My hands were shaking as I said, You don't get to make yourself the victim here. You destroyed this. Not me. Adam's expression contorted. I know. My voice cracked. You're sorry? Then why are you still here? Adam's eyes began to well up with tears. Because I don't want to lose you. My chest heaved as I said, You already did. The moment you touched her, you lost me. Adam's face fell flat. He slumped his shoulders. His hands trembled as he touched his face. I apologize, he muttered. That's not enough. Adam gasped for air. His face was pallid as he stood slowly. I'll leave, he said in a halting tone. I constricted my throat and said, Yeah, you should. He hovered for a second, as though he was waiting for me to intervene. I didn't. Adam's eyes grew sorrowful. He gave a single nod before leaving the room. The door clicked behind him, and I stood still. It stung how hard my heart was thudding. My eyes were burning with tears. My hands were shaking. I didn't pursue him, though. Not now. Adam's departure left the house feeling chilly, the sort of chill that seeps into your bones and leaves you feeling as though you will never be warm again. I listened to the silence for a long time while I stood there. Upstairs, the children were sleeping. The house felt empty. I sat down on the couch with my knees pulled to my chest hurting. My breath was shallow, and my heart was still thumping painfully. I felt like everything was pressing down on me. He had left. I also knew he wouldn't return this time. I drew a trembling breath and closed my eyes. There was a part of me that had always anticipated this. I had persuaded myself that the flaws were insignificant enough to overlook even though they had existed for years, that if we worked hard enough, we could fix them. However, you cannot pretend that a broken foundation doesn't exist in order to fix it. And Adam had used his own hands to blast through what remained of us. Behind me, I heard a faint sound. "Mommy?" Maddie held her pet rabbit tightly as she stood at the edge of the living room. Her eyes were wide with concern, and her blonde hair was knotted from sleep. My voice wavered as I said, "Come here, baby." She crawled into my lap and patted over. I encircled her with my arms, keeping her close. She said, "Is Daddy coming back?" I felt a severe tightness in my throat. "No, baby, he's not." Tears clouded Maddie's eyes. Did he stop loving us? My heart broke. "No," I muttered angrily. "He loves you. He always will." "Then why did he leave?" The lump in my throat was swallowed. Sometimes. Grown-ups make bad choices. And those choices have consequences. But it's not your fault. It's never your fault. Maddie snorted. "Will you leave too?" I tightened my grip on her. "Never. I'm not going anywhere." Little and frail, she cuddled up against me. As I embraced her, I let my tears fall softly down my cheeks. On the stairs, I heard footsteps. At the bottom, Ethan stood with a pale face. "Mom?" I made an effort to grin. "Hey, sweetie. Is Dad gone?" My breath caught. "Yeah." Ethan's mouth clenched. At his sides, his hands clenched into fists. His eyes were too youthful for that type of severity. "He's a coward," Ethan declared bluntly. "He left us." My voice broke. "He didn't leave you. He left me." Ethan's eyes became gloomy. "That's worse." I wanted to correct him, but I was unable to do so, since the first secretly agreed with him. The days that followed were hazy. I made breakfast, dropped the kids off at school, and responded to emails, but I wasn't truly present. Even while my body was moving, my thoughts were reliving every minute Adam and I had spent together. He has always told me he loves me, caressed me, and kissed me. I couldn't stop wondering where it had begun to fall apart. How long I had been standing there, unaware, while he had been pulling away. Had years passed? Months? Or had it been like a match catching fire, all at once? My phone buzzed one morning as I was folding laundry. The screen flashed Adam's name. I looked at it for a while. My chest constricted as my palm lingered over the phone. I hit ignore after that. I received a text from Natalie a week later. "I didn't know he was married. I'm sorry." Incredulous, I gazed at the screen. As I typed reply, my hands were shaking. "Did he tell you that?" "No. But it doesn't matter. I'm not seeing him anymore." I had no feelings. Where the anger had been, there was only a lifeless void. Good. Her number was blocked by me. Adam arrived at the residence a few days later. It was early in the evening. The driveway was covered with lengthy shadows as the sun began to set. His hands were in his pockets as he stood on the front porch. I didn't go outside, but I opened the door. I said icily, "What are you doing here?" Adam's eyes were sunken and his face was drawn. "I miss you," I sneered. "That's not my problem. Jess, please. Just hear me out." I folded my arms. "You already got to explain yourself. I don't owe you anything." Adam's mouth clenched. "I made a mistake." "Yeah," I replied sourly. "You did. I love you." "No, you don't." I grew sterner. Because if you loved me, you wouldn't have done this." Adam's eyes began to well up with tears. "I know I don't deserve you, but I'm asking you to give me another chance." My heart was racing as I gazed at him. I had fantasized for a long time about him pleading for pardon, but now that it was taking place, I was just tired. "You don't get to come back when it's convenient for you," I replied. "You made your choice." Adam gasped for air. "Jess, I straightened my voice and said, I deserve better. The kids deserve better. Adam's face fell flat. Please, no, I said sharply. You don't get to cheat on me and then ask me to fix it. Adam slumped his shoulders. Pain twisted his face. I apologize, he muttered. Me too, I replied. But sorry isn't enough. Adam took a deep breath. After standing there a while, he turned and headed back down the driveway. With a stinging thud in my heart, I watched him leave. He arrived at his car, paused, then drove off without turning around. Until his taillights vanished down the street, I remained there. I shut the door after that. I lay in bed that night and listened to the house's soft hum. Maddie was cuddled up next to me, her little hand on my arm. I could see Ethan's chest rising and falling while he slept, because his bedroom door was slightly open and the light was off. My family was in ruins. It was still entire, though, and perhaps, just possibly, we would be all right. On the nightstand, my phone buzzed. Adam once more. I slid onto my side and shut it off. Maddie moved closer to me and stirred. My chest hurt, but there was more going on there than that. Relief. It was done. I let me breathe and closed my eyes. I didn't feel like I was drowning for the first time in months. I was learning to swim at last.